I enjoy making planted tanks, often with reptiles in them, but I hate watering the plants all the time. So I thought, how do I keep my plants watered without watering them? This is the 1-year journey with documenting the growth of my fish tank. But before all that, we gotta start from the beginning. I gathered some rock and wood from my local fish store, and I kinda just started to wing it. I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but that's okay. I began by placing things in random spots until I saw a shape that felt right. I also decided to trim this piece of wood because I wanted it to be my centerpiece and I needed it to look a little pretty. You don't need to go crazy with the substrate. You just need an aqua soil layer or dirt and a sand layer to keep the soil down. I noticed this hole in one of the rocks and it surprisingly held up this piece of wood very well. Everything that was then built around it was made to complement the main piece on the left. Once I was finished with the initial hardscape, I filled the tank with water. Not a lot though, only enough for the sand to be submerged. The reason for this is so when I put live plants into the tank, they can stick to their spots easier. I put tall plants in the back and then short plants in the front so that it's easier to record, but also for the aesthetic. I bought this bag of clay-colored gravel and I sprinkled it around the rocks to give them a better sense of scale. Finally, it's time to fill up the tank. I started to add water gradually with a water mister so that I would not disrupt the plants or the substrate. My friend offered me some floater plants for free, so I added them to the tank as well, because why not? I felt that the plants needed some more variety, so I trimmed some from my growing tank and added it too. I also found this super tiny snail, so I gave him a chance at a new life. I placed an old water filter in so that it would clear up the water and also give it some beneficial bacteria. A few hours later, the tank was feeling crystal clear. I was very specific with the placement of the rocks in the wood so that I would be able to capture angles that usually I wouldn't be able to capture. Little did I know though, these plants would grow out of control and I would be able to capture very little of the angles that I first showed. I let the tank settle for a few weeks and then I decided it was time for our first real inhabitants. These guys are called red cherry shrimp. That's about the only name I know, so don't go asking me what the names of the other animals are, because I truly do not know. It was very hard to notice at first, but I also got a very tiny baby shrimp that came with. I love how they pretend that nothing happened and they just get right back to work.
Panda, you're supposed to look at the tank and make it look cinematic, girly. What you doing?
So, it's been about 3 months since I last recorded. I kind of just let the tank grow on its own. It's so nice not having to water it myself. I'd like to say these are shrimp eggs due to the coloration, you know, red, red. It makes sense. These plants have grown a lot. Basically everything's grown a lot. I don't even know what I'm talking about. This is the initial snail that I actually dropped into the tank. I recognize him. I don't know how I recognize him, but I feel like he is him. I'm just glad he's grown. He's survived this whole time. If you look closely, you can kind of see his eye poking out. Or at least I think that's his eye. Is it? Yeah, it's his eye. Look at that. That's definitely his eye. I'm finally adding fish. And I'm adding a lot. Not a lot, but a pretty good variety. Starting with these goofy rope things with mustaches on them. And then some clear fish with some upside down fins too. But let's be real, the star of the show are these guys. So there's no algae in this tank. It's very clean, but I decided to get a pleco anyways. And I do in fact know the name of this one. It's called a golden bushy nose pleco. But he has no bushy nose, so for now he is just golden pleco. I also got a wild card animal, and these guys like to have a small current to the water so they can catch food with their hands. So I added a small hidden pump in the back. And finally, for my favorite fish, these little cutie patooties, not even an inch long, they're absolutely adorable. They got little spots and white stripes on their fins. I don't think there's a better fish, honestly. Except for maybe nurse sharks and cat sharks and whale sharks. I can't think of any other animals. Octopus, those aren't fish. Yeah, these are the coolest, hands down. And they've become very well accustomed to the presence of another fish, and they do not care. They are very friendly towards each other. You can see them hanging out with each other, swimming around each other, just messing with each other in general. And they don't seem to mind at all, which is super surprising. So it's been about another month. All the fish are getting along well. All the animals are growing pretty well. The shrimp is fully grown. The snails have multiplied a lot. There's been very minimal problems. Not a lot of algae, not a lot of pests. Nothing has died. It's actually kind of surprising how well this tank has been doing. I really expected there to be more problems, especially because this is only the second bioactive fish tank I've ever made. But maybe because it is bioactive, I haven't had any problems. The balance in the water system has been so clean because the plants clean it up. I haven't done a single water change. I haven't cleaned the inside of the glass once. I haven't even cleaned the sand once. It's all been the same. Which makes me super happy because that's kind of what I wanted from the start. I wanted something very low maintenance, but still very pretty. It's so interesting to see three completely different animals of totally different backgrounds and probably different locational regions just get along with each other like they're best friends. But I was wondering, what happens at night? Do the creatures act differently than during the daytime? Are some actually more nocturnal than diurnal? The first thing I noticed is that whenever I tried to shine a small light on the dotted fish or the striped fish, they'd run away very quickly. But that could mean multiple things, like they don't like the light or they just got spooked. But one thing I definitely did notice was that the shrimp's activity levels went up very high. But not just the red one, also the very big one. He was out and about. I even managed to get some footage of the red cherry shrimp and the snails eating together. So it's been 6 months. A lot has actually changed. The plants are insanely big. The snails' population has probably tripled. The fish have grown a tiny amount, and a lot of the fish's colors have actually come in. Reading the color of a fish can actually help you determine the health and the happiness of it. If it's fully vibrant, then you know it's very healthy, or it's very happy, or it's in its mood where it wants to make babies. And if it's gray or kind of browning or something along those lines, then it's probably definitely not healthy, or the water quality's low, or they're just not happy. But just taking a quick glance at these animals, you can tell they are happy and they are healthy. You're almost at the end here, so just stick around for a little bit longer and you'll get the full reveal of the tank and what it used to look like. I appreciate you guys taking the time to, watch the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have some very big plans coming up for new tanks, and I have so many new ideas that I want to run through. It just takes time. So for the final result, this is before when I first created the tank, and this is after. It took about a year for this to be fully developed the way it is, but I'm super happy with the result. I only had to replace about 3 plants from the beginning of the video, and I added one more in the front, but not really too much that was noticeable. I really like the lily pad plants. They really cover the surface very well, a lot better than the floaters. The floaters actually died a little bit, but the lily pad plants really took over, and I love that. Again, thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want.